but they ended up in space. It might have been ludicrous. Somehow they end up in the car. Literally goes into space. So they go off a cliff and then they engage thrusters, and they're in space. Eric, it
Okay.
covers up. Speaking of cars, though, we've
Yeah.
got news about Lyft transitions. We're all
Thank
transitioning
you.
these days. First story of the eve on the bonus pod. Lyft's new feature connects women and non-binary. It's so absurd I can't even read it.
Say it with a straight face.
Lyft's new feature connects
No.
women and non-binary drivers and passengers for a service you never knew you needed. So connects women and people who are confused, which is probably just guys. Or no, connects
Well,
women and losers.
I think what they're trying to say is women and Kindle women. Everything
It
but
could
men.
be a man who's just like, yeah, it's probably more the other way around. It's probably more androgynous women. A
But
new
that's
Lyft
the
feature will.
problem we're having here, right? That's the problem we're having here.
A new Lyft feature will prioritize matching women and non-binary drivers and riders in an effort to provide more peace of mind during the rideshare experience. Why it matters. Advocacy groups have long questioned the safety of ride sharing, and recent reports indicate a startling number of violent crimes have occurred during Uber Lyft rides. Between 17 and 2019, I'm going to say almost 4,200 sexual assaults and 10 fatal physical assaults of Lyft passenger drivers were recorded. Women make up nearly half of Lyft riders, but account for just 23% of drivers. But Eric, there's a huge problem here with this logic. So Lyft is agreeing that there is such a thing as being non-binary. But they're also saying that men are dangerous. But what is a man? What is a non-binary person? They're saying that there's an inherent lesser chance of violence if a person believes they are not a man in this case. Even if they believe they're non-binary. At some point, these people have to be men if they're so as long as you no longer believe you're a man, you're not as prone to violence. I'd love to see where that study comes from, that men who say they're non-binary are less violent.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head. And even in explaining this, we immediately, I mean, it's just the problem with this is so blatantly obvious, right? So you initially said, oh, confused people. But I'm thinking that what they want is women and women drivers. That's what they want. But we know for the past 2, 3, 4 years, they haven't been able to tell us what a woman is. So they want a woman and a woman who pretends she's a man, or a woman who pretends that she's nothing. But they don't want a man, which of course leaves the high probability of a man pretending he's a woman. Where does he fall in? Because they're going to tell us that the man pretending he's a woman is completely harmless, when I don't think that's the case. See the problem here? Anybody can just say that they are a woman.
Well, yeah, if you're going to start giving people more priority matches with women, if they claim to be non-binary, then just you literally have to do nothing other than mark your thing as non-binary, then just do that and you'll get a ride faster probably, because if there's only women or drivers in your area for some reason or that time of day or whatever the circumstance is, then just set your thing to non-binary and therefore you won't have to wait longer. It's a terrible way to operate things. It doesn't account for the fact that men can say they're non-binary, and like I said, they don't have a definition for what a man is. They're just assuming that people who are non-binary are either women, actually women, or men who aren't violent because they believe they're neither nor. But it makes absolutely no sense. And this is what happens when you let sad women who have nothing to do with their day except for think of these insane ideas populate your marketing strategy room or your board room or even really anybody in the company at Lyft who thinks that they should be making decisions like this. I say whoever came up with that idea, I'd fire them on the spot. That's me.
Yeah, but that's you again pretending that this is genuine, but we know that it's not genuine, right? This is very similar to like who is this for? Who is this actually gonna who is actually gonna take them up on this? Remember when Indeed said that they were gonna offer $10,000 to trans people who wanted to relocate. even though I don't believe that's actually the case. That's not actually going to happen. You think they're going to get one transgender person who wants to relocate from what, Los Angeles to Austin, Texas, and they're going to get $10,000? Doubt it. They just put it out there because it looks good. And people, some morons out there, and it's every day that goes by, I find it harder and harder to believe that there are people still buying this, but apparently it's out there. So some people are going to eat this up, and they're going to think that Indeed is doing a good job. But when you look at it, obviously nothing's going to happen. We also see it with the reparations inquiries. Oh, we're gonna do a study to see how much reparations we should give out, and then, $5 million in study later, it just goes away. It's in the wind. They're never gonna come out and say, nah, it's not worth it. We're not gonna do it. And they're never gonna come out and say, yeah, all black people get up $10 million. Neither one of those things are gonna happen. They're gonna take the money that they acquired for the study and then fly off into the wind. Just like this nonsense is a headline for the day. We're talking about it so they win, but it's not going to actually ever come to fruition.
Well, I think with the NASCAR supply chains and everything, the conclusion we sort of came to is that this is for the companies to say what they're doing. And if you look at who's
Yeah, but
supporting this, it says it's one support from the Human Rights Campaign, which is of course an insane pro transgender children and everything organization. So they can say, hey, look what we've done. It doesn't actually mean anything, but we can say we've done something. Give us more money.
Turn it up, Jordan.